This is still Suzy. We still have a half an hour, 30 minutes to go on with our wholesale topics. We've been talking about roaming for an hour. We are going to slightly change and mind you, we're still going to talk about some of the very burning topics that we are hearing in the Global Forum. But I'd like to welcome on stage a colleague of mine, Debdatta Mallick. Please come and join me here. And Debdatta is, I'll call her Debs. I don't know if I can do this. Yeah, because it's a mouthful. You have a lovely name. Debs is so much easier. But I'm really, really happy to welcome you during this MEF event. Really happy, first because I get to talk to you, obviously, but also for another reason, which is in those forums we talk a lot about commercial models, market developments, market potential, really, embracing new products, new services, etc. We don't talk too much about what's happening in the backseat of all this. And that still has a massive impact on the business that we all run today. So I'm really happy that we have this opportunity to discuss together. And really happy to also discuss this within the framework of the Global Solutions Council, who is a specific forum that is looking at those, vaccine type of topics, namely billing, settlement, dispute management, risk management, that are very essential to address if we want our carrier business to be very effective and profitable. So on this, I really thank you for you to be here, and I would like to give you the floor to first introduce yourself, your two hats, because you have two hats. You have a day life and a night life, apparently, and also give us a bit of an insight into what the Global Solutions Council does in that area that I just mentioned.
Great. I'm Debs. Firstly, can you hear me all right? Great, because I was having quite a lot of trouble sitting there hearing others. I'm Debs, and very well done in pronouncing my name, so that's what people normally know me as. Today, I am wearing two hats. I head revenue assurance for PCCW Global, so I look after billing, I look after end-to-end settlement, I look after dispute management, and I also look after reporting. All the boring stuff, to be honest. And at the same time, I am an executive member of Global Solutions Council, which is GSC. And today I am going to talk about GSC quite a lot. What do we do in GSC? I'm so glad, Suzy, you said that normally people forget about the revenue assurance and the settlement part. As we say, a revenue is not a revenue until it is actually collected. And a lot of work actually goes behind the scene. I know selling is quite hard, but a lot of work actually goes behind the scene to collect, to do the end-to-end collection of the money which pays all our salaries. GSC is a forum which has been running for the last 20 years. This year we are actually celebrating our 20th year, which looks after end-to-end, the bill to cash. From starting, it was more focused on settlement previously, but now we have opened up our doors to a lot of different items which at the end comes to settlement. Like we have different work groups looking after dispute management, we have different work groups looking after roaming, we have a work group looking after fraud, we have work group talking about OBR, and we actually merge all of those. And a lot of carriers sit together, discuss about those. We actually discuss about the problems. And at the end, we produce documents, which actually goes on the website and which is shared with the carrier industry, with the industry. That's what we do. You can still talk about it as bill to cash, but much wider. now, I would say, yeah.
So, jumping in some of the topics that you just mentioned, what are if you had to mention 2 to 3 key areas of the business that are really keeping you busy at the Global Solutions Council, what would you, I guess they must not be very different from what we hear in the industry. They're just being looked at from a different perspective, but what would they be, and why are they so prominent within your carrier membership?
I think within the wholesale industry, the first and foremost, I think I look after voice and mobility service and settlement of that. We all know just before this session we were hearing about voice. It is declining, not only revenue but also margin. To keep up with the pace and to do that collection, it is becoming more and more problematic. One of the biggest challenges is dispute management. Previously, a dispute, if it is less than 1%, we will say, don't worry about that. Today, a dispute, when that is like $2,000, $3,000, leaving a $2,000, $3,000 margin is not a small amount anymore. So that is one of the things we definitely work on, is dispute management quite a lot. I mean, previously it used to be, there is a dispute, okay, go and just settle it 50-50. That doesn't work anymore these days with the decline in revenue, with the decline in margin. And I think most of us are struggling with the same things. It's not only a problem of PCCW Global, it's actually a problem which the whole industry is facing. You name the big players, you name any players in the market, and any players, any carrier, they all face the same challenges. So we come together, we discuss about that. So one of the key pieces we talk about is dispute management and how that impacts settlement as a whole. Then we discuss another big topic, which I think the whole world is talking about, is telecoms fraud. Who hasn't faced a telecoms fraud? All of us. And it is a multi-billion, I wouldn't like to use the word industry, but we know it is kind of an industry. We try to solve one problem, and they come up with another idea, of frauding us. So in that, so fraud, I know we are actually working with i3 Forum, we are actually working with ITRF, we work with different forums in order to try and understand what they're doing. But when GSC comes into picture, GSC actually look into the settlement of that. Fraud understood, now how to solve a fraud. But when a fraud has already happened, when it has become a dispute, then how to settle that. So that is something we focus on quite a lot. Our next GSC face-to-face meeting will be in Athens. We actually meet face-to-face twice a year, and we will be meeting where we will actually go through an example. We will talk about how the fraudsters are actually making their money. We all talk about fraud, but maybe we all do not know how they actually gain from it. So it will be good to talk about that. We not only talk about issues, we also talk about good things which is happening in the market. One of that definitely is A2P, which is going to be quite a big thing, which is already a big thing. So although we do talk about the problems comes with it, like the dispute, like anything else which can become a problem. So we face it now, we solve it now, and we solve it together. Because at the end of the day, when we sit with other carrier members, we actually go through their problems, we will listen to their problems, and how or what they are actually doing in order to fix the problem. So that's what we are working together.
So if you were to understand, so fraud, as you said, I mean, they're always a step ahead of what the industry tends to have in mind or plan. Voice, which is obviously, we've been in this industry long enough to know what is going on and how tough it becomes to look at the processing side of the business and how to optimize it and making sure that we get every dollar in the pocket. and SATP. So if you were, could you give us some insights into, so I understand you are obviously meeting on a regular basis, you are, I guess, the first part of the problem is to make sure that everybody agrees there is a problem in the industry, they see it. How does it then get addressed by the GSC forum? How do you take that along? What impact do you have as a GSC to help carriers with those different points that they're putting on, whether they're negative or positive? Also, let's talk about how GSC can help in better preparing carriers in upcoming business. How do you work around this?
So GSC, at GSC we meet twice a year, face to face, where we discuss about all different topics, what is going on in the industry. We also have different work groups, and the carriers come together. We sit together, we discuss about different topics, and we discuss about not only the topic, the good things about that, the bad things about that. We learn from each other, and we produce documents. I mean, I can actually give you a couple of examples what we have learned. I mean, last session, which happened back in November, we were in Turkey, and we were all talking about risk of settlement, any risk like credit risk, all those different types. And suddenly one of our colleagues from Tata spoke about they are working on something called AR insurance, insuring their AR, and what in terms others are thinking. They were asking to all of us, most of us, that actually came like we were all thinking, oh, that would be a good thing to happen. But we never thought of gathering that information or actually coming forward to start discussing about those. So we discussed a few items about AR insurance, and Tata actually took an action to sit with some of us. We discussed outside of the meeting, and in the next forum we will be talking about AR insurance. From that, we tend to learn. That's one. And again, last session, we were all sitting together, and Orange actually mentioned they faced a new type of fraud in the A2P business, where they also have a retail business. So some of their consumers, they were actually selling their leftover minutes to a different company. I cannot name the company because I think they are in a legal matter with them. So let's call them, Fishnet or something. Anyways. So, and some of these people, without realizing, they're selling off the rest of their actually added bundle, the SMS bundle, which that company was actually using, frauding, and sending using it as an A2P SMS and frauding others. Some of these topics, we, at least from PCCW Global, and we didn't face. And I mean, a great job from our technical team and definitely our product team. I haven't faced a fraud in PCCW, so I'm going to just think it doesn't happen, but it does, I know. But yes, this is just a matter of collaboration. That's where we actually got to know. Today it is Orange, tomorrow it can be us. So we can prepare better. That's how I think we influence.
So it's bringing the awareness of some of the experiences that some of the carriers have in terms of dispute management, risk and settlement to the rest of the carriers, because what happens to one can definitely happen to others.
And at the core, still settlements.
Yeah.
We still talk about, okay, so there is a problem, then what do you do to settle and to collect your money?
Yeah. How many carriers I mean, just for us to understand, the Global Solutions Council is, I mean, all of our forums are complementary, so we have quite a significant number of carriers members in MEF, but how big is the Global Solutions Council? How many people, and what kind of Are we talking just carriers, or are we talking, just to give us an idea as to the kind of ecosystem you also deal with?
It is not only carriers, first of all. We have a lot of vendors who actually join us, and that is very good, because there had been situations where we were talking about, in the last session, we were all talking about risk. And all of us, our carriers, were actually talking about that we do not have a dashboard where we see what the BDMs have actually sold and where exactly we are in the process of collection. So we talk about that, and then over there in front of us we have the vendors. So we presented the problem to them, and they actually came up with a solution, or they say that we can. So it is not only the carriers, we also have vendors. We have a nominal membership, and then the vendors also contribute. So if not on top of my head, how many carriers, which I can check and I can tell you, but we also have quite a few vendors who actually work with us, both from wholesale industry, and we also have some of the mobile operators in there. Yeah.
But I guess if you're starting to talk about A2P, you'll have more and more mobile.
Of course, that's our next agenda. So we have actually created a new work group who look after fraud. I am running a work group who look after A2P disputes, not only fraud, but also all types of A2P dispute. We have done quite a lot of work on dispute management within GSC, looking after all types of dispute. And now we are thinking these are all boils. All of these things can also happen in A2B. So we are trying to think whether it will be same. Do we deal with them in a similar manner? Do we do something different? How to deal with that so that we are ready beforehand when it hits. It has already started hitting us, some of us big time, because Telenor was actually talking, they had been hit by quite a big fraud within their A2P business. So it's all a learning game and all about collaboration for us. So yeah.
So yes, so coming to this particular topic, you've been, the Global Solutions Council, you told us at the very beginning of the session, had been in operation since, for the last 20 years. What has kept the GSC for such a long period of time? What has, it's a success in itself, to have been there for so long already. And what is paramount for you, do you think? What are the key, what is paramount to secure that as an industry, we manage those challenges that you've been facing? What is really, you're talking collaboration, yes, but so I'd like to hear from you on that.
All the GSC was there for 20 years. I joined GSC 5 years back. I can talk about from my perspective first. I think the best thing I got out of GSC was sitting with other carriers members, my peers, and discussing the topics then and there. A lot of them, we actually had disputes with them. I sat in front of them, I discussed the matter, and I fixed it. So that's definitely one of the things. When you talk about collaboration, it is collaboration within the carrier industry, within the wholesale industry, and also within all different forums, like what we are here today. We are collaborating with ITRF, we are collaborating with I3 Forum, we are collaborating with MEF. All of us kind of are doing the same thing, but in silos. All of us, I3 Forum looks after fraud, just fraud. And then ITRF looks after risk. GSC is coming and collaborating, I think, with all of them to try and understand, again, all of these problems, how that becomes a problem and how to mitigate them. So collaboration within the industry is very, very important, but I really think it's very important that we, as different forums, collaborate to actually get the best out of all our forums. That's definitely one of the things I would say. I would definitely invite all of you to come to GSC, meet us, work with us, and that's how, when we sit together, then only we get to understand from each other what are the problems. Unless we know the problems, we don't have a solution. So it's very important we collaborate.
Yeah, I was was going to mention, effectively, I mean, in the e-carrier industry, at least there's quite a few forums, and we all address specific items, specific topics that are relevant not only to one carrier, because if it's only relevant to one carrier, it doesn't become a forum, it's just a carrier issue. So you need that problem to be shared with a large amount of carriers to become an industry topic. And we do have, as you said, there are different forums that address specific areas of the industry. There's a thread that we can probably have, and the collaboration between those forums are really important, to my view, to make sure that we are answering those the questions that carriers have out there in the marketplace.
I mean, if I can just touch upon, I think me and you were discussing about blockchain. And PCCW Global actually did a successful POC with Cold on blockchain, and few of us were actually working together. We were there, Orange were there, BT, I think Telstra, Cold, Telefonica. We were all working the same thing. But what I actually saw, again, a lack of collaboration and a lack of investment in blockchain. And I absolutely understand voice is dying, but this voice is dying, that is something we have been hearing for the past 10 years. It hasn't died yet. And I think there will be a way, at least for the next 10 years also, in voice, and it wouldn't just dry up completely. But what I actually saw, there wasn't enough interest to actually make it into production. That's why that would have been brilliant, I think, an end-to-end blockchain settlement. Sorry.
I was going to say it's an interesting comment, and with your humble piece of or point of view, what do you think were the reasons why this didn't take off?
I think one of the biggest. Thank you. I think one of the biggest trouble is with blockchain. You actually need a huge portion of the industry to actually jump on the same boat. Else, it wouldn't work. Yeah. And we are all at a stage where the revenue is declining or the margin is declining. At that stage, getting your partner agree to come on to blockchain, which we know theoretically will definitely give a lot of value, but practically to invest that amount to get on board, I think that was difficult, at least from our perspective. Although we did do a very successful POC, and then we started seeing within that little ecosystem, one after another, different companies started to leave off, started to drift off.
So I guess is it the need to obviously to scale to make it worthwhile from a carrier perspective? Is it investing in something, particularly if you deal with the voice business where there isn't any not appetite, but it's probably more difficult to justify the investment for a declining business. Although, if we are quite honest with ourselves, we've been saying voice will be a declining business for
a long time.
And we are still saying this. So it's not dead yet. So is really that investment that is.
That's my perspective, Suzy. But to be very honest, again, that is just a voice settlement we are talking about. But blockchain are actually doing quite good POC, even within PCCW. That's doing quite good POC in roaming, in fraud management. So those upcoming events, I will say, will have more opportunity for blockchain, I think, rather than going to do voice settlement, I would say. But Yes, there will be. I somehow don't think voice will dry off in next 5 years. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, so of course, that's one of the things I think would have been the biggest trouble
Yeah.
for blockchain.
What do you see being I mean, you mentioned fraud, you mentioned A2P, and you mentioned voice decline were the key three areas. What do you see, if you have that visibility within the GSC, the topics that may come up that you potentially see are maybe coming in the pipeline for the GSC to address in the future?
I definitely see A2P fraud will be a big topic. It has started becoming a big topic, although some of us haven't faced it, which is a good thing, I would say, but some of us have already started facing it. So again, we will need to get ready for that. So A2P SMS will be big one. Flash call. Now, when I say flash call, I don't talk about it from a bad angle, because whenever we hear about flash call, we think, oh, that's another type of fraud. But it might not be. Flash call might be a useful stuff to be used. So that's a very fine balance between whether that's grey, whether that's white, whether that's completely black. So that's, again, finding out how to deal with that and how to, what is right and what is wrong. That's something which is going to be, and we have Telna, which is part of us. Telna is quite big in flash call, so we will be learning from them. So, yeah, I think that's another thing which will become a big topic. Fraud is always a big topic for us, and bill to cash, risk of AR insurance. That will be a new topic. We will hear back from Tata. So. Yes, it's all a learning curve.
Good. Addressing the room, any questions maybe on some of the, on risk assurance or else?
Great.
No, so
thank you.
Let me thank you for the time you spent with us.
Thank you for
inviting me. It was a great pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to your event in, when is the next
you're
one?
joining?
We'll come,
in
don't worry.
Athens, of course, in April.
April. Do you have the date already?
Yes, 25th, 26th, 27th of April. Okay. So hope to see you there.
To be followed.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a great rest of the day. Cheers.